Hi everyone, welcome back to Swan Code. In the same endpoint, the cat users one, we will be adding few more test cases. And before that, I will explain how you can debug those tests in Postman. So best way is, let's say you want to see the value of any object or variable, you can do is console.log and you can pass any object here. Let's say I pass the whole response to the log and I make the request. But how you can see the results? You can find console link at the very bottom of the Postman, and as soon as you click that one, let me show you where it is. It's here, the console. So as soon as you click that one, the console will be popped up and you can see that the whole object is printed in the console. So let's say you want to see the specific value. Let's say I just log the response time and now you can see it's 56 milliseconds, right? So this is how easily you can see the actual values of those objects in your tests and you can easily debug your code. All right, let's jump back to the main test cases for today. First of all, what we want to see that if the response is an object. So how we can do that? It's very simple. We will be writing a test case. Let's say I just add any test case. Response is an object, right? And in that case, we will be writing pm.expect and pm.response, and we need to convert that one to JSON first. And after that, we can say to be an, and inside this one, we can say object. All right. But this test case will fail because our response is not an object. In fact, our response is an array. How? You can see that it's coming in the form of array, right? So in that case, we can put, can you please check the response is an array? And if you hit now, all the tests are getting passed, right? Object. So instead of object, you can say array, right? Now we are going towards those responses to validate those responses that are coming from the API. Previously, we touched upon the response time and the headers. All right, that was the first use case for today. And let's say the response is not an array. This is an object. For that one, I may need to change my API a little bit. For that one, I will be using const, not const, let's say it's var response is equal to, I will be adding or creating a anonymous object here, and I will say that data is whatever returning from in results, which will be array of those objects. Success should be true, and the message, not message, let's say it's total, to see the total count of the objects in the data. So I will say results dot count, and instead of results I will be returning the response from here. Let me rerun my API. So as a tester, just ignore this part. You, let's assume you have that API already developed and you are just consuming it. All right. Now if I make the call, before that our response only has an array. As soon as I hit the endpoint, now this is an object. You can see the curly braces, and inside that object we have one property of data, one bool type of success, and the total count of this array items, right? And as soon as we hit, we now getting one test case failed because now the response is not an array, it's an object. So we need to check if that is an object. Yes, it is an object, but response time is now it's taking 129 milliseconds. And if you refresh again, it's getting passed. So seems like response times are getting checked properly, which is great. So ideally, the response time could be between 100 and 200 milliseconds. So let's say we hit the upper limit so that our test cases are not getting failed anyway. All right, so we have checked the response is an object. Next, what we can do is we can manipulate the response further. So that was the first object, to see what actually we are returning from the response from the API. Next, we can manipulate the actual response of the API, the inner elements like if we are getting success, the total and the data. So we can now start manipulating the actual response from the API. For that one, I will be dragging a template and let's name it first object name check, right? So we have now response and we have converted that one into JSON, the same thing we did here. And in that JSON data, we are expecting JSON data dot data. We can see that this, if this is a JSON data, then this is inside that object, so we can access through dot. And because this is an array, we can't access direct name. We have to go with the index here. So let's say that array has an object at 0 index at first position with the name, and next we can say to have dot property, not here. We are just passing the first object that have the property name, and its value is, what is that at the moment? Usman code 0. Nice. Let's hit the test button. All the tests are getting passed, which is great. So if we want to check if actually the value is getting displayed, two things we can do. Let's say we are creating another variable first object and we just pass this value here like this, and we can say first object to have property this one, and now the debug element is coming now. So for that one, console.log, while doing assertion we can also check the actual response coming from the API. All right, I just sent the request. Let me open the console. Now we have that object ID is 25 and name is Usman code 02. And we have test getting passed. Let's say if we change this one to 01. So in that particular case, we should have one test failed, which was expected. So today we have added now two main use cases, and along with that we have checked how to debug our Postman collection or Postman script. At the end, let me correct this one back and rerun the whole collection, which we actually do after every tutorial. For that one, we will be opening this run collection option. Get users, iterations should be, let's say, 10. No delay, no nothing. Let's just run this one. Great. So now we can see that all 80 tests are getting passed. Nothing is failed. All tests are green. So that was all for today's test cases, and you can access this one through a URL which I will be adding along with this video and every other video on the this Postman collection. And that URL will be, let me see, this one here. And if I just open this one into the URL, you can see that all the latest code, the test cases code should be there available publicly. So there is no authentication required for this one. You can just go to the user's request. Close. So I have saved that request as well. Yeah. And you can see that the latest code is available. You can just hit the URL and get those tests in your system and use it however you guys want. So that was all for today's video. In case of any question or queries, to ask me in the comment. In the channel we got a comment as well. So in the channel we have got a comment as well from Shivan, and he said that SOAP UI key B tutorial banao. So sure Shivan, I will be creating those tutorials soon and will share in the same channel as well. So thank you everyone. Thanks for liking the content and the videos, and feel free to add any question or any tool do you want me to add tutorials for. And if you haven't subscribed my channel till now, Do subscribe. See you in the next video.